Welcome, welcome back. Welcome back. Great to have you here, folks. You know how we do. You know how we do day in and day out. Day in and day out. We don't play games. We do it day in and day out. Okay, folks. It's not a game out here. It's not a game. Let me get this thing shared out. Facebook and YouTube and all that good stuff, and then we're gonna get this thing rolling. All right. Mic check. Yep, we're there. Okay. All right. And Jesus. It's a lot of clips. Okay. Mic check, and come on. Should be up now. All right. You know what? I might have to. Give me a second here. Let me see. We'll figure it out. Mic check, mic. All right, we'll figure it out. We're all good. We're just gonna get this thing jumping off because we are not like I said this morning. In fact, I'll just get into it right away. Like I said this morning on today's Move Swiftly Thought, again, if you are new to this channel, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and all that kind of stuff. And I'll get to my introduction in a second. But one of the things I do is a Move Swiftly Thought every single morning. And this morning was all about respecting folks' time, making sure we are always being in the space in which we're not only respecting other folks' time, but also respecting our time and understanding that time is currency and you do not get time back. So we're going to get this thing rolling today. We are just recapping it all up. We're doing a full wrap up of the whole week in which we developed, and we talked in great detail about the power and the importance and the focus and the understanding of having conversations, quality conversations. And it actually, in fact, leads into it. And I didn't even plan this. Is just coming off the cuff now, is understanding the quality conversations. It is kind of the lens. It leads to a respect and appreciation for another person's time and your own time. All right. Time is something that is absolutely invaluable. You do not get it back. Respect it in a way, respect the same way you respect my time is actually a currency. All right. So we're going to dive into Make It Move Monday, what we talked about Top 5 Tuesday and yesterday on Wintrepreneur Wednesday, just giving you guys a quick recap. First and foremost, let me just introduce myself to anybody that may be new to this world, new to the channel, new to what I'm all about. First, let me just get the screens ready. My name, As1 Cruikshank. I am your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 5-time, very soon, folks, very soon to be 6-time published author and educator. I created this whole brand, this whole framework, this whole mindset, this whole philosophy, this whole absolute way of life. It's all about taking the innovative teamwork lessons that you learn on the football field and aligning them with businesses and business owners so they have a staff and a group of employees that moves as efficiently, as cohesively, and has the same passion as a championship high school or youth football team. That is what we do here, point blank. And I could not be, it's such a beautiful time of year. You got football camps opening up, and when it comes to what I do, where I pull so many of my lessons, so many of the things I pull from, you'll see it every single week. You'll see it every single day, where when you lock in on the game, you lock in on the things that you learned in the game, what you have to develop, the way you discipline yourself, the way you are giving your all to people. And again, I've been on multiple teams, multiple football teams, and been a part of it and been around it for a while. You don't necessarily have to like every single person that you work with, but you know what you do? You respect each other. You go out, you respect each other's time, you respect what each other did, and you guys work together. You spend the season working together to achieve something that's bigger than yourself. And that's where we miss it. We miss it so much in the workplace. And I'm telling you from experience, all right, from experience, what the difference between the way you work together when you're that championship team versus an organization that is just littered with turnover and just has all sorts of problems with their retention and keeping people around, is when folks who do not like each other, clearly do not like each other, they just continuously disrespect, or they're constantly avoiding another person. They're avoiding conversations. They're doing what they have to do to avoid uncomfortable conversations. When it comes to a championship football team, there'll be tons of people that be on a team and they may not like another guy, but you know what? They're going to go to that locker room. They're going to shake that man's hand. They're going to work together. They're going to do what they have to do to make it so we win on game days. That's the difference. And that's what I teach. That's the element of what I teach. You will not ever hear me come on here and advise you to, have to like to and tell you, hey, you are forbid. You have to like this person. You have to, like this person that you work with. And if you don't like this person that you work with, then you're not worthy of it. I will never, ever say that. There's tons of people I've worked with, tons. I've had a ton of jobs, a ton of things, that I've done. And I can't stand it. But you know what? We show up and we do our job every single day. So that's what I preach. That's what we're all about here in the Move Swiftly world. So let me just run through these announcements really, really quick, so you guys understand how you can move forward if you are interested, if you're a business, especially if you're a business owner of 20 or more employees that is tuning in right now. If you have not yet, make sure you got a free guide that you heard me correctly. It is free guide.makeyourmove.com. And I created a very easy to understand 10-step process that can help get the ball rolling for you to get more efficiency out of your meetings. We work from a very simple formula. It's establishing measurables, creating a professional distance, and then that leading to your productive environment. These are the things that, again, I've seen a lot of companies, a lot of businesses go under because 1 and 2 are not in place. They do not have the measurables and they haven't provided a professional distance. They have not done that, and then ultimately leads to their demise. You need those two things. You need a solid balance of those two things. Without a solid balance of those two things, you will lose, you will fail miserably. All right. So it's freeguide.makeitmove.com to get the ball rolling. Also, boxing lessons, West Palm Beach, boxing lessons from 6 to 9 p.m. If you are interested in hearing more about that, do them for we can schedule your free session. As you can see, this is what we do here. And again, this is me before I found Palm Beach Boxing, which I develop. I'm just constantly developing every single day to, how you use your footwork, how to do this. I'm learning the same way you would be learning. All right. So again, it's freeboxing.makeyourmove.com. And again, if you're the kind of people that some of my favorite kind of people, you don't want to hear nothing about no free stuff. You're ready to pay for whatever you need to pay for. Come on, load up there. You're ready to pay for whatever it is you need to pay for. We love folks like you we love folks like you here. We are here to serve folks like you. Just go to makeyourmove.com. That's makeyaMove.com. You can look through the shop to make the purchases that you need, and you can do all of the research that you need to do on me. Again, go to Innovative Teamwork, and here it is right here. I usually read it directly, so let me do that, and then we'll get into today's content, I should say. Turn your business into a championship team. It is common knowledge that the best way to win in business or in life is by avoiding ways to lose. Whether you've just started a new business or you've been in business for quite some time, there's no getting around the need to hire or outsource certain elements of your organization so things can run as efficiently as possible. When you book your meeting with Aswin, he'll diagnose what the issues are with your current system and then strategically create a system in which will lead to a reduced amount of turnover or a clear understanding of the parts of your business that need to be outsourced. There's very, very important language in that. All right, in that quick paragraph that I just read off to you guys, there are certain parts of your business that there's certain parts of your business that can be outsourced nowadays. I'm something again that needs to, first of all, there's a system that needs to be in place, and the system needs to be working harder than the individuals, because the individuals are human beings, and there's life that happens, there's things that come up that an individual is just going to have to deal with it as it comes, which means that the system has to be working harder. System has to be working harder than an individual. And given this world we live in, this technological world that we live in, where we're using technology, there's so many parts of your business now that can be outsourced. All right. And it's gonna be some difficult decisions that you're gonna have to make, because you're gonna have to let some people go based on the new norm and the new way the world works. You have to more so invest in people that are using practical knowledge, to like the people that can teach actual knowledge, to teach people that can actually teach intellectual property. Again, the folks like myself, who actually has his own framework, his own books, his own practical way of teaching things. Because of artificial intelligence, you're going to need folks like that, regardless of title. All right. You need that now, because you can outsource so much of the stuff that other folks do. I see it every single day, and it comes up every single day in my business. I'm in the education world. All right. So trust me, it comes up every single day. These kinds of conversations, these kinds of things that, hey, this is what it was before. This is what I was able to do. This is who I was able to hire before. Now I can outsource that element, and that person that I had that was a great worker that did some great things. Again, I don't need that person if that person can't do X, Y, Z. If that person can't teach something that artificial intelligence can't teach. If it's because it's that person. Now, we're going to talk about this a lot next week. I'm giving you a preview of next week. We're going to talk about the understanding of what a merit-based role is. What is meritocracy? What is merit all about? I'm just giving you a warning. All right. We are over halfway through, past halfway through 2025. By 2026, it's going to become the norm. And if you don't have a merit-based role, all right, you are going to be on the chopping blocks. It's going to be a very, very dangerous reality for you, because you need to make sure you position yourself to where your merit, your ability, your actual things that you can perform, and your strengths and what you're an expert at and what you're really, really good at, you have to be utilizing those things every single day in your role. It may mean less money. That's my point. All right. This is where I'm getting at on this. And again, I'll dive deeper into this concept later. It may mean less money, but if you're in a merit-based role, now that you know your shit, all right, now you can start to develop an understanding of, how do I make money on my own? How do I use this merit-based role to make money on my own and not have to depend on somebody else paying me, or a job paying me every 2 weeks? Not to say again, we talked about that when it comes to Wintrapreneur. Talked about making sure, keep your job. It's important that you have a job. Go pay your bills, pay your rent, pay whatever it is you need to be paying. However, your merit is going to have to keep shining every single day when it comes up. All right. And I can give you a ton of examples about that. But again, we're going to dive deeper into that Thursday. Yeah. So we're going to dive deeper into that next week. So all that being said, let's go right into Make It Move Monday of this week and what we discussed. So Make It Move Monday, how would you start a conversation? The kickoff question for this week was, how would you start a conversation? All right. Some water. How would you start a conversation? All right. So let me and the cool thing now, again, I'm inspired. My mind is like a damn clock. I'm always thinking, I'm always mentally taking reps and trying to figure out what's something somebody gonna say. Like, I have content, I have actually next week and the week after, I already have it like written out and put in my own head in terms of what it is I'm going to be doing, what it is I'm going to be saying, how I'm always thinking in advance. And the way I came up with the theme this week in terms of how to start a conversation was a trip to Church by the Glades. I was at Church by the Glades. I don't normally go. I usually go in the morning, but I was in Miami that particular Sunday morning, and I was driving up north, and again, after the day went by, I decided I was going to go to that church service at 6 p.m. Right, so that's where I came up with the theme. So let me just read it to you directly so you guys understand how one conversation or one question can create the content, create a lesson plan, create opportunity, create curriculum for you throughout the week to offer to whoever it is you need to offer to. And that's why you got to be open enough. You got to be open enough to lend yourself to more quality conversations and attract the people that it is you would like to attract. So that is exactly what happened. All right, so I walked into a church wearing my signature plus LY logo, 3 colored pencils, red, blue, and yellow, representing the 3 primary colors. The message: you can create anything you want in life. That's what the logo means, if you did not know. So a woman volunteering at the service looked at my shirt and asked me a question I get all the time. Do you work for a preschool? My response: yes, I do, but this logo is for my business. Then I pointed her to makeyoumove.com. A conversation, a connection, and a seed planted. All right. And that's what made me again come up with the topic for the week. Now, when it came to the current events going on in my own life, as you can see right there on the screen, if you're looking at this on YouTube, now podcast listeners, I'm reading directly from the article now. The headline reads: Palm Beach Boxing and Duffy Sports Bar and Grill. These two opportunities, these two entities, I'm bringing them up because for the past, week or so? No, it's been about 2 or 3 weeks now. All month, basically all of July, I've been in conversations. I've had conversations with the managers and the owners of both of these organizations. And in addition to myself being being my role switching to the sport and fitness director at the school I teach, I was able to use that title, use that role to engage in conversations with these two entities to make it so I'm able to now, create things that'll be complementary to the new role. All right. So understand what the new role is here that I have at the school. It's sport and fitness. There's 2 different things. Sport, there's teamwork, there's sportsmanship, there's a element there of you have to know your history. You have to know exactly some of the cultural context and some of the things that have changed the way we look at society because of the lens of sports. So myself, again, one of the goals I have is to be a person that can teach that, to be a person that is, doing play-by-play college football. And now college football is primarily because that's where I played and stuff like that. But that's where I get a lot of my lessons from. So I've had this goal for the past couple months to become a play-by-play announcer for college football games, to get a contract with a play-by-play, to be a play-by-play announcer. And it just so happened that I was sitting in a Duffy Sports Bar and Grill. My guy, Mark, he had reached out and, we ended up having a conversation. He asked me how he can kind of support the work I'm doing now. I told him that's what I wanted to do. And boom, just like that, a week from now, we'll be starting our promo on Film Session Saturday. This is what we're going to be doing. If you don't know, make sure you go and subscribe to this channel. But it's Film Session Saturday, where I'll basically be doing this in the live setting, talking to people about the game, having conversations about the game. And I have it based on what? Conversation. And it again, based on the new role with the school, there's sport there, there's teaching opportunities, there's teachable moments there. And then there's the fitness component. So in addition to that, I again walked into a Palm Beach boxing gym. You guys saw it right here when I told you here. I walked into a Palm Beach boxing gym looking to see if I can use the space for rent and say, hey, look, I got some people that are already doing the boxing lessons. And I found out just through that conversation, hey, they're actually looking for some trainers at a time that was feasible for me or time that worked for me throughout the week. Boom. I've been in there pretty much every other day, getting my knowledge right and understanding how much I still needed to learn about being a boxing trainer. All of that is conversation, folks. All of that is conversation and having the right conversations and quality people. So again, here's the answer. Here was the answer to the question. Authenticity, right there. Authenticity. That's how I answer the question of how would you start a conversation? It has to be authentic. It has to be something that you can truly get behind. And I would implore you all to do the same thing. So that was Monday. So Tuesday, we got into top 5 Tuesdays. We always do. So things to consider, because as you are having conversations, all right, as you are having conversations with people, you're seeking people out, whether you're seeking them out virtually or you're seeking them out in person. In fact, I'll never ever forget this. I got to tell the story because it slipped my mind to tell the story on Tuesday. There's a guy that the high school that I played for, Good Counsel High School, the field, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is still named Zach Dancel Field. Yes, Zach. It was the son. The son's name was Zach. He played at Good Counsel, but Dancel, Bernie I think it's Bernie Dancel, right? Yes, that's it. Bernie Dancel. He's the founder of the Nava Center. Yeah, that's him. Bernie Dancel. His son played at my alma mater, Good Counsel High School. I can't remember. I think he was in. I forgot how he made this. This might say it right here. Son one. Anyway, the guy's loaded. We'll just say credit. Yeah, it was like credit counseling or something like that. He was doing something in the financial space, and he bought the field. It's Dancel Field now. At least last I heard, that's it. Dancel Field at Good Counsel. This is the guy that put his name on the entire stadium, right? So he has an organization called the Nava Center. As you can see when you look him up, that's kind of the stuff he's into now. It's called the Nava Center. It's a health and vitality center. If I'm not mistaken, I think they're actually, you know what? Let me see how they're doing these days, because I went in there. Yeah, they're actually out here in I gotta check them out. They're in Florida now, so I gotta check them out. I think because I remember, I think I did see them. I was in Boca one time and I saw them. I'm like, oh yeah, the Nava Center, right? So the Nava Center is it's a health and vitality center. They do a lot of things from it's real comprehensive stuff in terms of just healing and inner work and all that kind of stuff. It's a great organization. It's something you can check out when it comes to just new ways of medicine, integrative medicine, all that kind of stuff, and really, really great place for you to check out, right? So anyway, I think it was like the NFL alumni. He hosted some NFL alumni thing, and this is back in Maryland because he started at Maryland. And he hosted some NFL alumni thing, and there was somebody there that Bernie wanted to meet, right? And listen, whenever I'm in rooms like this where you got people that are getting loaded, I'm just like a sponge. I want to absorb everything. I don't know. I just want, and I was young. I was like early 20s or something like that. I was just trying to, learn whatever I need to learn. So Bernie walks up to the guy. Again, this is the NFL alumni, and he hosted some events. It was some event in Baltimore. He walks up to the guy and he looks him in his face and he goes, "Bernie." It was right to the point. He looked him dead in the eye and it stopped the conversation. He goes, "My name's Bernie," and he owned the place. That's the crazy part. He's like, "Bernie," and I'm explaining all that to you guys because when you think about what has to be working from the inside to start a quality conversation, we're gonna go right there to number one: nonverbal cues. Nonverbal cues. What I picked up in that situation with Bernie Dancel was that's a man who, again, had enough respect for the fact that he was having a conversation. And then if I'm going to go, even though it's his own place, he owns the damn building that we're in, right? But he still walked up to the guy, introduced himself, and put his hand out to shake it. And then they had a quality conversation. You understand me? Like, it's a room full of people, and still the nonverbal way in which he went and approached this guy was something that I sat back and watched like, oh, wow. Because that was networking to the highest, like that's like high class networking and stuff like that, right? So that was number one. Number one was really diving in to the nonverbal cues. Now, number two, it's one thing to start the conversation. You can start a conversation with whoever you want, but you got to know your shit. plain and simple. Got to know your shit, because I kind of took the example I shared on Tuesday was when I was at the University of Tampa, and the guy who was hosting the event, he was a hockey guy, and I was telling him about the book that I read, Outliers, when it comes to, the only thing that I really knew about hockey, this, that, and the third. And the point of me explaining and breaking all that down for you guys is because I knew on the back end I knew information on the back end of certain things that if this comes up, now I can just spit out. I didn't plan on telling him that, so I didn't know who the guy was. But the minute he mentioned that, I had the information in my head already for me to develop and have a conversation with an individual. That's what you got to do. So number one, if what we're noticing with number one and number two is all of this is inner work. All of this is stuff that you could be doing day in and out. It's not a matter of you needing to necessarily know anybody, but it's a matter of, are you putting in the work from the jump, from inside, to make it so you have the right conversations with the right people. Next thing was respect another person's space. As Bernie, again, I'm going to use Bernie as an example, but what happened was, as Bernie was seeing this guy talk and he was having a conversation with whoever he was having, Bernie made sure he was patient with the guy, waited and said, "Hey, my name's Bernie." And then he gave him his name, and then they started to have that dialogue. All right. Respecting the fact that he was having a conversation. That is respecting a person's space. I have seen, okay, my line of work, I've seen people who are so far off from that, who are so rude and so disrespectful that they wouldn't even say, "Excuse me." I've seen people that I've had to be around and work with that will walk up to another person while they're having a conversation, don't say "excuse me," walk right up to them and start having that conversation and discussion. And I mean, it drives me crazy because of how rude and disrespectful and the complete disregard towards another person's space. So number three, again, if you want to have quality conversations, you have to respect other people's space. Respect it. All right. Respect their space. Respect exactly what they've been through. Respect the fact that they are actually doing something and what they're known to do. Number four, keep the shit brief, man. Keep it brief. Keep it brief. I went in and there was a kind of a moment of tension yesterday. It's a moment of tension yesterday with myself and another colleague of mine who, we've kind of had our sparring over the past couple of months. But as I kind of think about it now that I'm talking about it, it was because of this. It's because in my mind, listen, keep the stuff brief. If you got something that you want to present to somebody, or you have a room full of adults that are trying to get things done and are working individuals, they got their own lives, keep it brief, please. Learn the scale of brevity. Learn the fact that, hey, there's other forms of communication that we can develop and have discussions about, but don't have it to where people are sitting in meetings and where it lasts so long and you haven't developed the work on the inside to whatever it is you need to be said can be said within a couple of minutes, and then open it up for whatever questions. And then if things start getting too long-winded, you just say, "Hey, email me this, do that, and the third," and then we could work it out from there. Keep it brief. All right. That's, again, quality conversations. Learn to keep it brief. And number five, a very, very self-explanatory one, listen. So it's simple, but it's not easy. I understand, because there's a lot of things working on the inside. If you haven't done the inner work, you're constantly trying to prove yourself to somebody else. You're constantly trying to, show that you're worthy, show your ability in some way, shape, form, or fashion. If you haven't done the work, I get it, but you still got to work towards listening to folks so you don't offend them based on the fact that you keep talking over them. You keep making it so it's about you and this is what I'm going to do, and then referring to, what my pet peeve is, like truly is my pet peeve, is when someone is always referring to themselves as in the third person. Well, blank name, well, let's say the name John. Well, Johnny doesn't like doing this, and Johnny doesn't like doing that. Johnny doesn't like doing that. It drives me fucking crazy. It drives me crazy when people refer to themselves in the third person. Say what the hell it is you got it when adults do this shit. Now, if it's a kid, it annoys me too, but they're kid. But when adults do it, it drives me fucking crazy. So please, adults listening to me, if we're having a conversation, please do not refer to yourself in the third person. It absolutely is the most annoying thing. All right, now as I close you guys out. Yesterday we spoke on what we reaffirm, like we do every Wednesday, what Wintrepreneur, being a Wintrepreneur, is all about. Again, it's about having a strong entrepreneurial vision and being fortunate enough to have a job that aligns with that vision. And there were several things that we discussed. I just took you through 4 different stories that make it so you understand there is a skill. All right. There is a skill that comes with having quality conversations. All right. I spoke about my first sort of job at a company named Lids. I didn't actually get the job, but I did shadow and do an interview. And I asked somebody coming in, if they were looking for any hats in particular. The manager pulls me aside and said, "Don't ask that. You got to ask a question. If you want to develop a quality conversation, hear me on this one. You got to start asking a question that they can't say no to." All right, you're like, okay, what the hell does that mean? Go watch it, and I'll walk you through it. But Lids is a hat store, and instead of me going in there and say, or me being there and say, "Hey, can I help you? Looking for something in particular?" They can say no. You're easily going to say no. You ask a question like, "Who's your favorite team?" and what do you what kind of hats are you into, and who's your favorite player on that team? These are things that a person can't say no to, and then it leads itself to see exactly where you are. That was number 1. Number 2 was letting certain things sell itself, being a part of the structure. We talked about the sales associate that this is back when I worked at Washington Sports Club. He created a bunch of flyers. There was a bunch of flyers for a yoga class, so he put his card on the yoga class. And he stood there like right before people were coming in for the yoga class, and he was giving out free week passes with his card and letting the people who love the yoga classes tell their friends about it. Then we discussed my time at LA Fitness. Yeah, the energy. Shout out to my guy Dupree. It was funny because my girl was texting me like when I was talking about that. Dupree was great, man. Dupree taught me about the energy and how he engages people in conversation in terms of trying to get them to join LA Fitness and stuff like that. And finally, my time at Orange Theory, where if you want to maybe develop a strategy of conversation that makes people afraid of missing out on something. Use the example of when me and the person that hired me at Orange Theory, he walks up to a total stranger and he says, "Have you done so-and-so? Have you tried that first class yet? Have you got it was a scientific term that I still can't remember to this day. But when she heard that question, she goes, "No, I didn't try that." And next thing you know, she gave us her number, and that was a successful prospecting tour and things like that. So that's what we talked about. And again, all of this is available for you guys to read through or listen to throughout the week. Just wanted to give you a brief recap of what we discussed today. Tomorrow, Faith-Based Friday. Saturday, remember film session Saturday, as we do every Saturday. We're finishing out I think we're starting. Yeah, we're going to be starting. I record them in advance, but we're going to be starting the Michigan-Ohio State game. It was my favorite game of the year. Then after that, we're going to dive into Texas-Ohio State as we get into Texas-Ohio State 2025. So it's a lot of Ohio State. Going to be a lot of Ohio State. Again, myself, I'm a Michigan fan, so it kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone because I get to scout out. I get to see what we gotta take over, what we gotta do to make it 5 years in a row. I get to scout out, really, diagnose the competition because we know we got to go ahead and make that 5 years. We can only celebrate the 2024 win for so long. We only got a couple more days of being able to celebrate it. Now we got to get back and go get that 5th one in a row. They come to the big house this year, so film session Saturday is going to be go. We're going to be doing that, and then as always, Stay Hired Sunday with my good friend Kimberly Blue, where we got a lot to talk about. We're really, staying current in terms of what the jobs are and what you're going to be needing to do and getting specific examples. So make sure you follow, subscribe, share this out. And again, next week, we'll be diving deeper into what I mean when we talk about merit-based roles. All that being said, if you want to dive deeper into all the work I'm doing, again, it's makeyourmove.com. That is MAKEYAMOVE.com. One-stop shop for all your teamwork and your self-development needs. As one Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker. Check it out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.